What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out why Ukraine is winning. This is by Civdiv. We've watched a few of his videos before in the past. Phenomenal YouTuber. I will leave a link down below to the original video. Make sure you get over there, give it a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm very, very excited for this one. It's always nice to hear that Ukraine are winning, isn't it? So I'm very excited for this one. Before we get started, though, as always, check out Chug. 10% off, link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world. Summer's here. This weekend, I'm taking the van, going camping with the kiddos. And I'm going to be sat around the fire. And my favourite thing will be popping this out in the afternoon, filling it with a Hawkston lager, and relaxing around the fire while the kiddos are falling asleep in the van. Very, very excited. It'll keep my beverage cold because we're getting another heat wave this weekend. 10% off, link down below. Ships to America, sustainable materials, small business. You cannot beat it. Go get yourself one right now. Ships to America as well, if you want to know. Which people ask me, does it ship to America? It ships to America. Also, check out my business. If you're in the UK and you want a healthy energy drink utilizing functional mushrooms, go check out Morale. Link down below for that as well. We've got some really cool stuff coming up very soon for Morale. Very soon, and it's very, very exciting. So get excited for that. What else? Link down below to a charity that I'm doing. I'm doing a hike in the Highlands of Scotland to raise money to fight cancer. There's a link down below for that. All right, let's shut up. Let's watch this. Hell yeah, they are.
At least on paper, Ukraine is winning. Last month, May 2026, marks the lowest monthly advance recorded in the past 3 years by the Russian military on the front line of Ukraine. And according to the Institute for the Study of War, they assess that over this last 6-month period, Russian forces suffered a net loss of 281.1 square kilometers of territory that they firmly controlled. It was not gray zone, while only managing
So they're losing territory now.
to advance or infiltrate into about 40.6 square kilometers.
Wow.
And that includes the gray zone. To contrast, throughout the entire year of 2025, Russia was able to capture a total of approximately 4,800 square kilometers across all of the fronts, which averages around 400 square kilometers per month, which means the 2026 numbers represents less than a fraction of that previous pace of last year.
Yeah.
When we think about Donbass, Russia
It means that they're slowing down dramatically. Like, dramatically.
controls 90% of it. But considering all the data behind us, Russia's current rate of advance is so remarkably slow that forecasting a complete takeover of Donbass over the next couple of years is mathematically unfeasible. They are moving slower than a snail's pace. Ukraine has been putting out an incredible fight. Why are they able to withstand the Russian invasion and this attritional war that they were told they could never compete against Russia for? And I think the first point is self-dependency. This is something I was very big into back in 2024, before the
Just want to go back and look at his...
US pulled out of Ukraine.
Oh, why is it going... Oh, it's doing the volume. That's so annoying. I want to look at all the badges on Civdivs. See if there's anything we recognize there. Let's go top, left, across. Not sure what that is. Not sure what that is. Bravo UAV. Interesting. Ukraine flag. Not sure what that is. All that. All that. US Airborne. I feel like that's an obvious one. I feel like there's not going to be many RFTG. Oh, no. I'm not sure if there's any I'm going to know. Canadian, Ukraine, and there's a US-Ukraine one here. That one's interesting right there. It almost looks like the commando dagger, but with a parachute. That's an interesting one. This one right here is that, is it 3 Brigade Ukraine? The one that we watch all the time? That's their channel, isn't it? That's their logo. Other than that, I don't recognize any of those. That's that logo again right there, but with the Canadian one next to it. Canadian maple leaf. If there's any others you recognize there, let me know in the comments.
2024, before the US pulled out of Ukraine entirely. If they weren't going to be given long-range offensive tools, they made their own. The Polnitsia, the long-range loitering aircraft, taking out Russian oil depots, taking out ports, taking out ships with their self-made weapons. Not to mention the FPVs, which nobody makes better than Ukraine. And the next reason I think that Ukraine is winning this war right now is the information war that they're waging. They are actively engaging Russian fake news with their media outlets. And then
This is the thing. Ukraine are a member of the Western flow of information. So, although, in my opinion, the Western flow of information is highly corrupt still, mostly because of, you know, big media and billionaires get involved in giant media companies and pushing their agenda. What I'm trying to say is, although that stuff does happen, because of places like YouTube and social media, it's very hard for the truth not to get out. So Ukraine are part of that. Whereas as Russia, they're actively diminishing people's access to certain websites and therefore not being able to get a free flow of information, therefore trying to prevent their military members and their civvies from knowing exactly the truth and pushing out a crazy amount of propaganda.
proving them wrong with their own stats of the war with video proof. It's undeniable and it's spreading around and people are waking up to it. The
Yeah.
U.S. House of Representatives just passed a proposed bill to go and fund Ukraine again. And although it's probably not going to pass through Trump's hands or even the Senate's hands, the tide is turning and people are waking up. People are seeing the reality on the ground and they see that it's possible to win. And taking their troops' morale into consideration, despite
Just going back to them badges again. Civdiv, if you're watching this, slip into me DMs. I'd love to send you a Royal Marines Commando badge that I've got, as well as I've got a couple. I've got the OG, not the OG, but the previous one that the Royal Marines had. And I've also got the old FPGRM badge that has now been changed to 4-3 Commando. I'd love to send that over to you, mate, if you want to slip into the old DMs on something like Instagram or whatever. I'd love to send it to you, mate.
ground and they see that it's possible to win. And taking their troops' morale into consideration, despite having to conscript soldiers, only 1 in 30 Ukrainians are in the military, and a huge amount of them are drone operations, which is safer than infantry. Added on to that, they invest in saving their lives with handmade ground vehicles to extract them and keep soldiers alive. They think about the soldiers. They want to keep them safe. They have plastic surgeons that are ready to go and take care of them if something happens. They have all the infrastructure behind them, and although it gets bombed by the Shaheeds all the time, the people are behind the war effort and they support the troops with their lives. And that is all because the whole of society is at threat. And when that happens, the society unites. We saw this from day one of the invasion. But Russia, on the other hand, is only experiencing that now. But the strikes are only after oil depots and military assets.
That's the other thing as well. The news that Ukraine are striking Russian oil assets, I think, is quite comical, to be honest with you, because it's doing two things. They're already getting slammed because their shadow fleet is being taken by the Brits and the Americans now. Their shadow fleet is being destroyed as much as possible. But now they can't even get that stuff and store it or do whatever they can with their own oil on their land because Ukraine's destroying that as well. The amount of money Russia is losing because of both the destruction of the shadow fleet and these attacks on these oil refineries is insane. Let alone the amount of money they're losing through equipment, vehicles, all of the above.
So the civilians don't feel like there's an imminent threat. They see the drones pass over them, striking the military that they're told is the best in the world. They see the incompetency of their leadership. The Ukrainians have been through it all. Quite literally, there's nothing Ukraine faced that wasn't the most terrible situation. Yet, as a society, they pull through. They know themselves. They know the war. And to know what you're fighting is half the battle. And they clearly won that. And they were only put in that place faster by Russia targeting the electrical infrastructure, targeting the water heating, making the civilians feel the pain of this war and know that it's imminent. Like, they're not going to stop, and you have to fight back. Russia was hoping they were going to destroy the will of the Ukrainian people, but it backfired, just like the US and Afghanistan. Or
That's the thing, and they've now, although Ukraine and Russia have never really got along, now the relationship between the people is just diabolical.
the US and Vietnam. When you bomb the civilian populace enough, they will rise up because it's an imminent threat. You kill one defender and 2 more rise up. This is the same. In order to make ground, Russia needs to make large-scale assaults on targets. But the amount of hardware and men needed to build up to then attack is impossible. With a gray zone kill zone that spans over 20 kilometers in almost every...
Oh my god, is that footage of a drone going towards a Russian ship? And every single one of these are rounds trying to shoot the drone out of the sky, and they're all missing.
Is impossible. With a gray zone kill zone that spans over 20 kilometers in almost every direction, to build up enough forces close enough to the front and not get targeted while maneuvering in the gray zone is impossible. So many targeting systems exist. We have cheap Mavics that are used across the front line to go and find the targets, and then the fiber optics come in without a way to really defeat them except for small arms fire. RF drones, which require large jammer systems, which are very expensive, takes a lot of energy to go and take them out, which they don't always have. Artillery, which still exists and is doing most of the damage. And mines, which never get less.
Look at that field.
Artillery, which still exists. And
look at that field. That's insane, isn't it? Just bombed. How many fields have we seen like that now in Ukraine? And they're not the same field we keep looking at. The amount of farmland that not only has been bombed to shit like this, but still has mines in it. When this war is over, I can't even imagine what the cleanup is going to be like.
Is doing most of the damage, and mines, which never get less, only more. When a front line is stagnant because of Russia's slow trickling of infiltration units, although they can help make temporary on-paper gains, it doesn't translate to real ground control, just an expanded gray zone with Ukraine sending the same type of units to clash with them. And the next one that Russia's dealing with for the last couple of years, surprisingly, is quality degradation. They still have tanks, they still have artillery and jets, but they're wearing thin, noticeably thin. And the supplements for that are all the Ladas, motorbikes, and unarmored vans. But not only talking about the weaponry and the logistics, but the soldiers themselves, who don't usually rotate out of the front line, but fall in battle, leaving with them their experience. Russia isn't valuing the survival of their guys. In a lot of cases, the conscripts, which are told they will never go to Ukraine, are being sent to Ukraine without gear. They have to...
I also wonder... what happened to all the North Koreans that were fighting to... like, a bunch of North Koreans went and fought for Russia, like, about a year ago now, maybe over a year ago. And a bunch of them got captured or killed. Are they still sending North Koreans over? Or if North Korea said, you know what, that was a bad idea. You crack on with your war, Russia.
Buy their own gear. They don't value their own soldiers. Another big reason that Ukraine is getting the upper hand right now is that they restructured their entire military. In 2025, Ukraine restructured its military by establishing 18 army corps with a standardized order of battle, which is comparable to large NATO divisions. And these reforms have resulted in better defensive stands, such as isolating Russia's advances into Konstantinivka, where I would infill and exfil from when I was going to Chasiv Yar, and also Dobropulia, where the Ukrainians were able to push them back as soon as they made the ground. And we have to speak about Russia's economy. Despite what Putin says, the numbers don't lie. Their economy is struggling. They are completely dependent on China. They're almost a vassal state at this point. Their inflation is rising. They have declining manufacturing output, rising fiscal pressure, and severe structural decline. That they cannot hold the line. And
that's the thing. The Russian economy it's not sustainable, the trajectory they're on right now. And so something has to change. It literally has to change. Otherwise, the country's going to start... like, the thing is with people, we all know this, right? No one starts a revolt until you're hungry. Until the food's gone. Until the water's gone. Until there's no heating. The problem when an economy is in the trajectory that Russia's is that it eventually will get to that point for a lot of people. Not the whole country. The country's massive. And a lot of rich people will keep that no matter what. But there's a lot of people that are going to start going out if they're not careful. It was only like just over a year ago, we were reporting on shops in poor areas of Russia selling single slices of bread. Imagine what it's like now, and it's only getting worse.
Oil, it keeps getting struck. 40% of their output is cut off because of the Ukrainian strikes. And in contrast, Ukraine still gets funding from Western nations. Maybe not the US, but they get it from Europe. But again, that's only supplemental. It's not super needed because they're self-dependent. They're able to get the resources they need and make it on their own. And the biggest factor in Ukraine's continuing success in the front line doesn't have anything to do with Ukraine. I think it's Russia and the way that they deal with the war, their morale. Russians have a morale based on salary and heroism, but nobody wants to be a dead hero in a war that they know is bullshit. Ukraine doesn't have this problem. You know that this is a war for survival.
Well, it's not only that. Ukrainians have a meaning for fighting. It's to protect their land and their people. Russia don't. They're invading someone else's space. So the desire is not there as much. It's mostly just patriotic, and some of them aren't even that. It's because they're convicts and they're getting sent on the front line.
Woken up by shaheeds every night, and every man, woman, child is involved in this. Where on the other hand, Russia has to deal with Prigozhin. They have to deal with buying mercenaries from Africa. It's pathetic. So the bottom line is this. Ukraine's strategy for 2026 is no longer about immediately taking back massive swaths of land. It's about holding the line and systematically bleeding out the Russian war machine by using technology technology and innovation to offset the numerical disadvantages that they have by fighting a war against Russia. They hit the Russian logistics, the oil depots deep behind the lines. Donetsk, which was considered safe for the Russians for about 2 years, is no longer safe. They're hit all the time. Ukraine has turned the tide with attrition war. They're now the ones that are grinding down Russia's military capability. This is something the world never thought possible, but should be absolutely studied and taken seriously for any larger country, assuming that their larger military would be able to take out a highly motivated and innovative society. And
that's the thing. This will be studied for decades to come. The disaster that this 3-day war that Russia had planned to take over Ukraine that started in 2022 and now it's 2026 is insane.
Ukraine isn't the first case of this. We can look at all throughout history, and I talk about it on my channel quite a bit. That's all I have to say today. That's why I believe that at this current pace, Ukraine is winning. They're on the road to victory. And I hope you guys learned something today. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Absolutely phenomenal video. If you've not seen CivDiv's videos before, you should definitely go check it out. He's got some absolutely fantastic content, both filmed in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine, talking about the situation over there. The footage is incredible. His information is incredible. He's got the experience to back it up. Not many people like that on YouTube. I'm telling you that right now. So go check him out. Link down below in the description. While you're there, check out Chug. Keep your beer cold this summer. Check out Morale and all the other stuff linked down below. Until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful day. Hey, and if you're watching this in Ukraine, keep up the good fight. We're supporting you. Peace.